Loki is the single greatest, most important hero in all of the MCU. Remember Captain America and Iron Man? They both pale in comparison to Loki. They had to team up to save one puny world, while he saved the entire infinite multiverse. Wait, hold on. Kevin, that can't be right. The entire infinite multiverse? I mean, it's one thing to make him an anti-hero, but this is a bit overboard, no? What do you mean, screw what the fans think? Alright, just go back to ruining Blade. Now you might think I'm exaggerating, which clearly means you're in the vast majority of fans who haven't witnessed the nightmare that was Loki Season 2. Season 1 made Loki a pawn in Chick Loki's game, and at first glance it might seem like this season gave the story back to Loki, but the reality isn't that simple. Why? Season 2 is extremely convoluted, so I'm just going to break down the overall plot. Sylvie kills Clown Kang at the end of Season 1, and the TVA starts to fall apart. Loki is time slipping, meaning he's randomly being pulled between two different timelines. They need a version of Kang to unlock a device so they can fix the overloading time loom from blowing up, since it can't handle the infinite multiverse that Clown Kang's death spawned. They find a version of Kang who is so damn annoying that it made me miss Clown Kang, but they're too late. Just as it's all going to hell, Loki conveniently learns how to control his time slipping and pulls a Groundhog Day for centuries, until he realizes the loom will never be able to process the infinite multiverse, because you know, it's infinite. The show then remembers Loki is a literal god, so he goes out and uses his powers to stop the multiverse from dying by tying all the universes together in a tree that looks like Yggdrasil, and it ends with him sitting at the center of the tree multiverse, holding the entire thing together, fulfilling his so-called glorious purpose. Oh, and by the way, the episode is called Glorious Purpose, which is also the name of the first episode of Season 1. I can just see them sitting back and thinking how smart and symmetrical that sounds, when it's really just a lazy way to avoid creating a new episode title.
Idiots doing idiot things because they're idiots.
Bet you don't think I was exaggerating now, huh? Loki is literally holding the entire multiverse together. No matter who your favorite hero was, or who you thought the most powerful hero was, Loki is now infinitely better than them, considering he's saving an infinite number of universes all at once. Should a single god from one universe actually be able to do that? Beats me. I'll say this to be fair though, we don't actually know if it's permanent. My takeaway was that he's buying his friends time to try and save the multiverse, which is why the TVA will be recruiting heroes in Deadpool 3, which apparently shows the different universes within the multiverse dying off. The ending of Loki Season 2 could have been way clearer about that. If you just watched that finale and had no idea about future MCU projects, it does nothing to imply Loki's solution is temporary. You might be asking, but if it's temporary, how do his friends know they're on a clock, since he just walked out and didn't tell anyone his plan? Well, shut up you misogynist, those questions are offensive. They keep telling us the MCU is interconnected. It sure would be nice to see one of these multiverse ending movies or shows affect the other.
What a stupid thing to say.
Man, Loki was one of the few villains left in the MCU. They could have actually done something interesting with him, like introduce the Masters of Evil for example. Instead he's the latest in a string of misunderstood villains. Remember that time he invaded New York and killed tons of people in the process? Yeah, now it's just a casual joke that gets brought up during Pie Time. Pie Time that takes place during a multiverse-ending cataclysm, by the way. That'd be like if the Avengers shawarma scene took place while New York was being overrun. But hey, mission accomplished. My expectations were definitely subverted. Usually, heroes don't rest until the threat is over, but seeing them eat pie while the entire multiverse is about to collapse was real fun.
Take your time. Yeah, don't rush, you know.
If there was a Loki action figure based on this show, it would look like this. Loki just pleading with someone to hold on and trying to talk them out of doing something. A god, who I'm expected to believe is powerful enough to hold together an infinite multiverse, resorts to begging people to stop as though he couldn't just stop them with ease. His power level in this show is the definition of plot-induced stupidity. That's what happens when you practically turn a godlike character into a human. He was so pathetic on this show up until the finale that I think I mostly forgot he was a god. Then when he was using his powers to play mind games on Brad, I remember thinking, oh wait, that's right, this is Thor's brother, the god of mischief. Genuinely think the writers might have remembered that during that scene too, and thought, Wait, remember how this guy's technically a god? We can kind of do some cool stuff with that, right?
You're not just realizing that now, are you?
A big problem with the MCU right now that the critical drinker always points out is that the human mind isn't wired to relate to the multiverse and the idea of an infinite number of versions of a character. That's why nobody is scared of Kang. We've seen him die 3 damn times so far. Who the hell builds up an Avengers level threat by showing the audience 3 versions of that character die? The same thing goes for time travel, and boy does this show mess that up. The whole time slipping thing is thrown in at random points. Sometimes it seems solved, then it just happens all of a sudden, and then he becomes a full-fledged time god able to manipulate time. He spends centuries learning physics and they just brush over it like a slide in a PowerPoint presentation. Centuries, as in hundreds of years. Loki is about 1,000 years old in the MCU, so even for him, centuries passing by would be a lot. But by all means, just throw it in as a joke. Don't try to push those barely functional brains to come up with something better. They might break.
Special Officer Doofy reporting.
Other than Loki, the fact is there's only 2 other characters that even matter. Sylvie and Mobius. There's a strong chance that they appear in future MCU projects. The others might have cameos, but since they're mostly just guys at the computer or punchline delivery systems, I'll focus on the ones who actually matter. Sylvie is basically just Loki without the charming roguish personality. She spends the entire season pissed off at everyone else, ignoring the fact that this is all her fault. She literally caused the end of the multiverse because of her selfish desire for revenge. She should walk around ashamed and apologetic, but in classic MCU fashion, the women can do no wrong, even when they cause trillions of deaths. Now, I'm not a fan of the whole killing one person to save a lot of lives, like some people, but in this case, had Loki killed Sylvie instead of breaking the multiverse, he would have killed a villain and saved the multiverse. Sounds like a pretty solid 2 birds, 1 stone scenario to me.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Mobius is pretty much just a joke this whole season. Can't say I expected much from an Owen Wilson character to begin with, but there is one thing that I don't think a lot of people picked up on that might come as a surprise. Did you get all the subtle hints throughout the show that Mobius used to be a jet ski salesman? Now I know they were rarely sprinkled in, but the real eagle-eyed fans might have put it together. To everyone else, it must have come as a massive shock to see that play out. I swear to God, if I have to hear Owen Wilson talk about jet skis anymore, they'll have to ship me off to Arkham Asylum. That was his one and only personality trait as far as I'm concerned. He was pretty much just a background player the whole time. Didn't really affect the overall plot that much. He's probably going to be back for Deadpool 3, well after he spends an undefined amount of time staring at his old family in their house.
Such a weirdo.
There's absolutely nothing glorious about Loki Season 2, and just like every Disney Plus show, it feels like it doesn't even have a purpose. Loki already had a much better redemption arc in the MCU's golden era of movies that didn't insult the audience's intelligence. This was just some half-baked nonsense that barely makes sense even if you put on your Twitter stan glasses and squint real hard. A bunch of idiotic characters screwing with the multiverse like it's a game, then lecturing the audience about all the lives on those timelines. Maybe if you morons did your jobs right, those people could live their lives without being turned into time spaghetti. Who knows if we'll even see Loki again. Tom Hiddleston's being vague right now, but he might be done with the character at this point, and I wouldn't blame him. His acting was the only good thing about any of these Disney Plus shows, and he deserves much better than having to slum it on this train wreck of a show.